come, Ray. The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball.
Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win. Now the 2-1. Line drive to the base hit. Just as the score of the tying run. Green to the plate. And he is safe. Safe at the plate. The Braves go to the World Series.
Have reserved seats somewhere along one of the baselines that sat when they were children and cheered their heroes.
Gibson swings and a fly ball to deep right field. This is going to be a home run. Unbelievable!
A 3-run home run for Bucky Dent. The Yankees now lead by a score of 3-2.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mazeroski has hit a 1-0 pitch over the left field fence at Ford Field to win the 1960 World Series.
They'll arrive at your door as innocent as children, longing for the past.
The Pope arrived at Yankee Stadium. As one enthusiastic announcer put it, he is standing on second base.
Reggie Jackson. Long drive right field. It is goodbye. Big World Series for Reggie.
The Blue Jays are World Series champions as Joe Carter hits a 3-run home run.
Brackett throws. There's a left back. It's going to be, I believe, the Giants from the pennant. The Giants from the pennant. The Giants from the pennant.
The 0-1 pitch. A liner off Nagy's glove into center field. The Florida Marlins have won the World Series.
The memories will be so thick that I can brush them away from their faces.
The 1-0 delivery to Fisk. He swings, long drive, left field. If it stays fair, it's gone. Home run. The Red Sox win. And the series is...
Lolich fires. Ball is hit high in the air. This should be the series. Freehand waving everybody away in foul territory. Detroit wins. Here's the pitch to Willie. Here's a liner straight to Richardson. The ball game is over and the World Series is over. Willie McCovey hit it like a bullet. A line drive right.
Baseball to mark the time.
The Oakland A's take. I'll tell you what, we're having an earth.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Candlestick Park for Game 3 of the 1989 World Series.
It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again.
Frank Robinson, the right-hand batter.
Long drive to left field. Way back. This is it back. Home run.
Base hit loaded, 1 out. Ain't in a chance. The Twins are going to win the World Series. The Twins have won it.
Ozzie with 1 out. Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run. And the
Willie Mays just brought this crowd to its feet with a catch, which must have been an optical illusion to a lot of people.
This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again.
Broadcasted live.
Who wants to have some fun?
There are balls coming from all over the place. Left field, center field, right field. See, this is the kind of thing, quite honestly, right now, that makes you want to see the Chicago Cubs team lose.
Now, you just saying you want to have fun, or do you really want to have fun?
It'll be fun.
Will the next person that sees anybody throw anything onto this field, point them out, or get them out of here? You don't live in Cleveland. You live in Cincinnati.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
That is the farthest thing in the universe from the truth.
Hello, everyone, live. It's the Dan Scott Show. And right there is your host, Dan Scott.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of the program. I am Dan Scott. Good to have you with us, and we've got a very, very busy show lined up for you today. We're going to be talking with Dave Glenn of ACCSports.com coming up at 10:25, our weekly Atlantic Coast Conference segment, and taking a bit of an opportunity to do some preview of Furman baseball this afternoon against Asheville. Also going to let you hear a brief interview I did for the Furman Sports Weekly podcast, or a brief portion of that interview with Haley Harford and Natalie Srinivasan of the Furman women's golf program. They, along with Furman alum Alice Chen, have been invited to play in the inaugural women's amateur tournament at Augusta National, which is a big deal, historic type deal. So we're going to let you hear part of that interview as well. How you doing? Hope that everything is going okay where you are this morning. If your day's off to a good start, you know, our goal here, we don't want to do anything to mess it up. If it's not, maybe we can provide you with a little bit of a boost. And by the time it's all said and done, hopefully we learn something we did not know. And I always qualify, it usually starts right here. I got to start this morning. You guys, if you've been with me over the years, you know that I have my spies in different places. And last week, of course, the weather was just abysmal. The rain just came in droves at day after day after day and wreaked havoc with the college baseball schedule all across our area. Brett Harker, I talked to him on multiple occasions during that week, and obviously he was a very frustrated young man trying to play weatherman and coach and groundskeeper and everything else as the week went on and games started getting canceled and things were scheduled and rescheduled and moved. It was just a very tough day. Well, you may or may not know, over at Latham Stadium, they have a camera system in place that has multiple cameras where they're able to film pitchers and hitters doing their thing so they can get some video evidence of their form, their swing mechanics, their pitching mechanics to do some video study on. Well, unbeknownst to Brett, apparently, those cameras were running one day last week, and some of our spies happened to get a video clip of what went on at Latham Stadium, and this was during a period where the rain was coming down very, very hard. This is exclusive. You will not see this anywhere else. Here is a look, and you'll actually hear the conversation at what went on one day last week at the height of all the rain frustration with Brett Harker. Check this out.
I've never seen it rain so hard for such a long time.
I'm just glad I'm inside.
Well, good grief. Only a real blockhead will be out in the rain like this.
Where's everybody? We're supposed to have a ball game today. Don't tell me everyone stayed home because of a little rain. A little rain never hurt anybody. Why are you standing here in the rain, Charlie Brown? You know we have a game scheduled for today. As soon as everyone shows up, we can get started. Suppose it has occurred to you someone else may show up? Not for a second. Why are you looking at me like that? They made your uniform out of my blanket!
Now, I'm not going to go on record as saying who the assistant coach was there with Brett Harker. I'll let you guys that on your own. But there you go, a look behind the scenes at some of the frustration that was felt last week as the rain kept coming down. I wasn't going to use it, and then we had the rain this morning, and it kind of reminded me that, hey, we probably need to go ahead and put that out there. We're going to take our first break. We're going to come back and let you listen to part of the interview that we did with the two Furman women's golfers ahead of this great honor in early April to play at Augusta National. The show, as always, brought to you by Carolina Creative, and they are the presenting sponsor of our program. Each and every day we remind you about the great work that they do for us and so many others in the area. In fact, you're going to hear more about them as we go to this first commercial break. Dan Scott Show returns in just a moment. Take it to break. Hey, everybody, Dan Scott here, and I want to tell you about my technology partner, Carolina Creative Group. When my show needed a technology boost, I turned to Carolina Creative Group. My custom design website is going to take marketing as well as brand strategy and development to new levels. The search engine optimization means that my clients' ads will be seen by more people more often. And if I have any questions, Carolina Creative Group is just a phone call away. Friends, that is just the tip of the proverbial iceberg. You can find out all the ways that Carolina Creative Group can help your business by simply calling 864-250-2012. Again, that's 864-250-2012, or simply visit them online at carolinacreative.co. Carolina Creative Group, technology partner of the Dan Scott Show.
If you're looking for the perfect frame for that special photo or painting, Custom Corners Frame Shop in Seneca can deliver for you. Family owned for nearly 4 decades, Trevor and the folks at Custom Corners Frame Shop pride themselves on quality, presentation, and professionalism. They offer picture framing for every budget, and every job is custom. Custom Corners Frame Shop also sells work from local artists as well as locally themed gifts. For more information, visit them at 289 Market Street in Seneca. Call 864-882-7736 or find them on Facebook, Custom Corners Frame Shop in Seneca.
Imagine a university. A university where your passion for protecting local water sources is encouraged. And now, your work not only benefits your career, but the health of those in your community and around the world. This is Furman. This is the Furman Advantage.
Dan Scott here for the Atlanta Bread Company. What do I like about Atlanta Bread? Well, too much to mention in a short commercial, but here are a few things. Bread baked daily fresh on site, a tremendous selection of soup, sandwiches, and salads, seasonal special additions to the menu, delicious hot coffee, and a bevy of other drink options. And yeah, can't forget about the baked sweet goodies. Dine in or carry out, and when you have the Atlanta Bread Company app, you can order and pay online, then breeze past the lines to the pickup counter to get your food. Experience it for yourself. That's the Atlanta Bread Company, Cherrydale Point in Greenville.
When you go in search of a fence company, what's your criteria? Experience? Trust? A company that gets it right the first time and stands behind its work? Then your search is over. Faulkner Fence has been Greenville's fence company for more than 40 years. Ed Faulkner started the business, and now son Todd continues the tradition of excellence. So regardless of your fencing needs, commercial, industrial, or residential, trust the company that Greenville has trusted for over 4 decades. Faulkner Fence, 864-271-4626, or online at FaulknerFenceCompany.com.
Let me tell you something, Cowboy. This rookie can really bring the heat.
He's smoky and spicy with a Chipotle style all his own.
It's a new Montgomery Inn Chipotle barbecue sauce. Make it a part of your home team.
Available now at your neighborhood grocer or online at CincyFavorites.com.
Helps if you turn the microphone up, Mr. Radio Guy. We are back. Good to have you with us as we continue on the Wednesday edition of the program. A quick word about the folks at Make-A-Wish, South Carolina. I always look at that face. That is an actual young Wish recipient, and you can tell she's having the time of her life. Invite you to go to the website, Make-A-Wish South Carolina, sc.wish.org, and just do some exploring there. And you'll find out so many of the things that we talk to you about on a regular basis about the great work that the people at Make-A-Wish South Carolina do. So happy to be partnered with them and trying to continue to get the word out about everything that they're doing. And looking forward to even more involvement as we move forward. I think the thing that you need to know more than anything is that these wishes cost money. Average is about $7,500 a wish. Now, some are lower and some are higher, so there's where the average comes in. And they granted, gosh, over 200 wishes a year ago. They do one about every 48 hours, I think, is the average. But there were another 200 or so on the waiting list when the fiscal year ended last year. So they need finances to make these things happen. They can get it done, and you can get it done creatively. Yeah, you can just make a straight cash donation. You can donate air miles, which helps defray costs. If you've been thinking about selling a car, donate it to them. Let them reap the benefit from it. See the website. Go check it out, sc.wish.org. Go to the donate page and help Make-A-Wish South Carolina. Well, on Monday, we had an abbreviated version of the show, as I told you, because I had an interview scheduled with Haley Hartford and Natalie Srinivasan from the women's golf program at Furman. They have been chosen to play in an inaugural women's amateur event at Augusta National. And, you know, like I said on Monday, there are a lot of rabbit trails you could go down when you talk about Augusta National and the exclusivity of that club and what that's meant, both good and bad, over the years. But just focusing on the positive aspect of it, this is really a historic deal, and we have two Furman golfers who get the opportunity to play in this event, the very first one ever held. So we did the interview for the Furman Sports Weekly podcast. It dropped on Monday. If you haven't been able to hear the podcast, I encourage you to go find it wherever podcasts are available. Just search for Furman Sports Weekly, and you'll hear the entire thing. Here, I'm going to give you about 5 or 6 minutes of that interview just to give you a little bit of a flavor of what went on. Here is a conversation, part of it, with Haley Hartford and Natalie Srinivasan. Our guests on this edition of Furman Sports Weekly are a pair of student athletes, specifically women's golfers at Furman, senior Haley Hartford and junior Natalie Srinivasan. They, along with former Paladin golfer Alice Chen, have been invited to compete in the inaugural Augusta National Women's Amateur, which will be held April the 3rd through the 6th at Augusta National in Augusta, Georgia. And they are both joining us here on the podcast today. Haley and Natalie, thank you for joining us. How are you girls?
Yeah, we're doing good. How are you?
Doing wonderful. Thank you for checking in. Haley, you're the senior. I'll start with you. This is pretty big stuff, knowing what we all know about the history of Augusta National. So for them to be opening their doors for women's tournament play, and for you, both of you, to get invited to the first ever women's amateur tournament, that's got to be a big honor for you.
Yeah, I would say it's a huge honor. We're both super excited, and to be a part of the first ever event, and that's going to be really exciting. And I think it's a great opportunity for women's golf, like you said. So I'm really excited to see how it goes this year, and then every year from now on, just to watch it build and just be a good opportunity for women to come and play at Augusta, you know, such a historical site.
Natalie, how did the invitation come about? How'd you find out they wanted you?
So I was at home, and we kind of knew that both Haley and I were going to get an invite based on our world ranking and the system they had set up. So I was at home, and I got the invitation in the mail. It was pretty awesome to see that.
So it wasn't a surprise. I mean, you knew this was coming, right?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, we've kind of set ourselves up in a really good position. So when they announced the criteria for like players, we knew we had a good shot at it.
To me, and I'll go back to Haley here, that this kind of speaks to what kind of program has been built here at Furman for women's golf. This is a national program that year in and year out has an opportunity to go compete for a national championship. And when you do that and get yourself on the map as a program, that's going to get individual golfers on the map as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it says a lot about our program that this year we have 3 players, you know, playing in it out of 75 girls. So I think that speaks volumes about our program itself and also the individuals that come here.
So, just looking at the way this tournament is going to take place, the first 36 holes will not actually be at Augusta National. It'll be at the Champions Retreat Golf Club down in Augusta on April 3rd and 4th. And then the entire field will play Augusta National for a practice round the next day, and the final round will take place there on Saturday for the top 30 who make the cut. So I think it goes without saying that if you're going to be part of history, you want to get to that final day, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously we'll get to play Augusta regardless if we make the cut or not. But I think obviously we want to play the final round, but just going in and just trying to do the best we can and just kind of like live in the moment and enjoy it, I think it should be good for us.
Haley Harford and Natalie Srinivasan from the women's golf program here at Furman joining us on this week's edition of Furman Sports Weekly. It's episode 13 of our podcast. Natalie, just any special preparation for a tournament like this, and how's it going to affect what is going on with the women's golf program? Is it going to interrupt any team play that is scheduled for Furman?
For preparation, nothing's really different. Obviously what we've been doing to get to this point isn't working, so I think just sticking with our process and just kind of trying to make things as normal as possible will be good. And then we couldn't play in the Clemson Invitational, so we've kind of had to move our schedule around for that, so we would be able to play in this event.
So that's good. It's not going to interfere with anything from a team standpoint. What kind of year are you expecting the women's golf program to have here in 2019?
I mean, we have a really good team this year. We've got a lot of talent, so I think we're capable of doing a lot of great things, and I'm looking forward to getting the spring season rolling.
And when will that be going full force?
So we had our first tournament in California a couple weeks ago, and then we leave on spring break to play in the Darius Rucker Intercollegiate in Hilton Head. So we have 3 in a row in March, so that's kind of when things kind of get started.
All right, so there's a bit of the podcast interview that we did with Haley Harford and Natalie Srinivasan from the women's golf program to talk about the really historic honor of getting to play in the first ever women's amateur at Augusta National. It's April 3rd through the 6th in Augusta, Georgia. So, again, the entire interview, which was, I think, about 12 minutes long, is available by going anywhere that podcasts are available. Just search Furman Sports Weekly, and you'll find it there. That's episode 13, and we will be putting together a new one coming up for the first part of next week. All right, we need to step aside, and we'll come back, and when we do, Dave Glenn joins us, and we'll talk some Atlantic Coast Conference stuff, both on the playing fields and courts and off, unfortunately, when we return after this on the Dan Scott Show. Don't go away.
For a child battling a critical illness, a wish come true can be a turning point. One song, one dance, one game, one moment changes everything. Make-A-Wish needs your support to grant more life-changing wishes. Visit Make-A-Wish online now. Together, we can transform lives, one wish at a time.
Hall's Chop House in downtown Greenville is the Greenville Steakhouse. Why? Well, it starts with the Allen Brothers Prime Steaks out of Chicago. The rest of the menu falls into place there. But it really goes beyond that. It's their level of service, their commitment to that service. The place is packed every night, and yet Billy and his staff have a way of making you and your table feel like you're the most important table in the place. They have lunch on Fridays and Saturdays, brunch on Sundays, live music every time the doors are open. The Greenville Steakhouse is Hall's Chop House, Main Street, downtown. Tell them you heard about them on the Dan Scott Show.
Mayhem is everywhere.
I'm a fight in the stadium parking lot. One of us was rooting for the home team. The other was also rooting for the home team, but misheard the first one. Them's fighting words. Now we're working this out all over your car. And this could last a while because we're evenly matched. We're both big. We're both better at punching stuff than doing puzzles. We both think Italy's in South America. We both peaked somewhere between 8th grade and the second time we took 8th grade. Oh, and while you were gone, we've both been rammed repeatedly by the other into your car. Our already scarred faces will heal, but if you've got cut rate insurance, you could be living with these dents. So get Allstate, where agents help keep you protected from mayhem. Like me.
Are you in good hands?
In Easley, it's Ray Williams, Allstate, 864-859-7504.
Looking for a great car, but your credit needs work? Premier Automotivations is a professional referral service motivated to help you drive a car you love while rebuilding your credit. Late model cars of all kinds. Premier Automotivations can get you on the road and your credit on the road to recovery today. Serving all of upstate South Carolina, it's Premier Automotivations. Call Sherry today at 864-722-3785 or email cricketgravely@gmail.com.
Go the Distance Performance Coaching offers individualized coaching for distance runners of all ability levels, beginner to seasoned runner, and exists to help you achieve your running goals. All training plans are custom built, tailor-made just for you based on your experience, current fitness level, injury history, and goals. You're going to receive expert coaching from Hall of Fame runner Brock Bailey, and Coach Brock is ready to help you go the distance. You can find out everything you need to know about Go the Distance Performance Coaching and Brock Bailey at the website gocoach.run. Gocoach.run. That's Go the Distance Performance Coaching.
All right. Welcome back. Dan Scott Show here live on this Wednesday. And as always, great to have you with us as we get set. A little bit later on at the end of the program, we'll talk about Furman's game this afternoon with Asheville at Latham Stadium and all the ways you can check out that broadcast. But first, we are going to go to the celebrity guest line and welcome in a guy who, well, for my money, nobody does it better covering anything. I mean, he just happens to cover the ACC, but it's a standard that many achieve to get and few many strive for and few achieve. I can't even speak. I'm so much in awe of Dave Glenn of the ACC Sports. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Dan. Good to be with you again.
Good to be with you. Hope everything is all right in Raleigh. How'd you guys handle all that rain last week?
We're okay. You know, we try to consider every day a blessing. I have relatives and friends around the country that instead of being just sort of soaked with rain are, under feet of snow or in otherwise truly scary conditions. So all things are relative.
Yep.
And compared to what I grew up with in Pennsylvania sometimes as the young man and the oldest son who had to shovel the driveway when it snowed while my siblings were playing in the yard, I'll take a little saturation from rain any day compared to some of the alternatives.
Yeah, I know. I hear you. Hey, let's start by talking about one of the more unfortunate stories that we've come across, not just lately, but maybe forever. Jim Boeheim finds himself obviously in a situation that on not only himself but anybody else. But if people haven't seen, he was driving on his way home, I think, from a game, and struck a pedestrian, and a pedestrian was killed. No charges are going to be filed apparently against Boeheim, but got to be just an incredibly devastating time for everybody involved on both sides.
Yeah, Coach Boeheim said that this is something that will be with him for the rest of his life, and he's the guy who some consider curmudgeonly, others root for the Hall of Fame coach. And I've gotten to know him just on a professional level. He's somebody that can be kind of off and on in terms of his communication style. But you could tell that he's been impacted by this. Everybody agrees that the starting point is to grieve and mourn for the family and friends of the deceased, a man named Jorge Jimenez, a 51-year-old Cuban immigrant who had been living in the Syracuse area with family and friends for many years. The long story short was the car Mr. Jimenez was in struck a guardrail late at night in the Syracuse area and then stopped perpendicular on a major highway and was a disabled vehicle. So I always ask everybody to consider this, and I was really disheartened a week ago when some people were calling Jim Boeheim a murderer or other horrible things without really having any clue of the facts or how the law works in such cases. Imagine being at 11:30 at night in a somewhat dimly lit highway situation, going the speed limit according to the facts, or very close to it. You were not drinking, you're not on drugs, you're not doing anything wrong. And at the last second, you see a disabled vehicle in the middle of the road, and you're not going 25 miles an hour. This is a highway. You're going at the speed limit, whatever that was. And of course, you're going to have a split-second decision to make. Of course, you're going to swerve and try to miss the car that is just sitting there waiting for you to kind of T-bone it. And you're going to swerve left or right. And Jim Boeheim swerved toward the shoulder of the road. And one of the people who had gotten out of the disabled vehicle was still getting to the side of the road, according to the evidence. And Jim Boeheim struck that man with his car. Hung around, called 911, did all the right things, tried to even use the light on his cell phone to slow down oncoming vehicles so there weren't more crashes and fatalities. It's just the definition of a truly tragic accident. And I think most people know that now, but Dan, the first 24 hours, the level of venom lodged at Jim Boeheim was just outrageous and just a sign of how bad human beings can be when they don't have the facts, they don't understand how the rules work. Jim Boeheim's not even going to get a traffic ticket, much less a murder charge, because sometimes tragic accidents happen. I was happy to see Syracuse handle the game this weekend against Duke with a moment of silence for the Jimenez family. Some in that family did not think Jim Boeheim should have coached. But whereas in many cases I'm an advocate of picking sides in life, I think this is one of those where you just don't pick sides. You just respect the Jimenez family for however they want to mourn and grieve, even if they were a little upset at Jim Boeheim in some cases, but also respect Jim Boeheim, who has gone through a trauma of his own and felt it was best to be with his players and coaches, even 3 days after that tragic accident last Wednesday night.
Yeah, it's a situation that you hope that you never find yourself in. And ironically, around here, there's one play-by-play broadcaster for one school that is in your league who actually went through the same thing a number of years ago. Similar circumstances. It was purely an accident and nothing that could have prevented it. No charges were filed, and I know what that grieving process was like for that person who was involved. This obviously was a much higher profile thing, and it's kind of getting to the venom you were talking about. This is the downside of the social media world that we live in, where people can get on Twitter and they can say what they want with no fear of any consequences, for the most part, and without having facts can just spew whatever they can get in 280 characters and not have to worry about any accountability for it.
Yeah, and what sane people can do, what fair-minded people can do, is try to remind others, whether they listen or not is up to them. Number one, have some human empathy, right? Even in a social media world, human empathy can still be something that is alive and well. And number two, collect the facts before you have a judgment. We don't always know the verdict in the split second. We're living in a short attention span society, and everybody wants to rush to the finish line, and it just doesn't work that way. And you had to wait to see, okay, the driver was not drinking. Okay, the driver was not on drugs. Okay, as it turns out, the driver was not speeding. Hey, it was late at night. Hey, it was a not all that well-lit highway. Hey, the car had just crashed moments before in front of him. Hey, you had to make a split-second decision. Hey, put yourself in those shoes and realize that odds are you wouldn't have been able to avoid, something disastrous either. It's one, to be candid, Dan. It's one of the differences between good people and bad people, and I do not say that haphazardly. It is one of the differences between good people and bad people. And bad people rush to judgment, and bad people slander and libel others without having all the facts. And bad people don't have empathy for the victim or for, in this case, the driver who went through his own traumatic experience. And a lot of bad people don't like being called bad people, but that's exactly what they are. They're either good people being bad in the moment, or they're just rotten to the core. And it's not that hard to build better habits than these things. And I think more good people need to keep reminding those who are doing it the wrong way that there's still a right way out there.
So, as far as the legal aspect is concerned, we don't know about the civil aspect of it, but as far as the legal aspect is concerned, the case is closed, right?
Criminally, it's closed. The local district attorney said basically there's nothing to see here. There will be no charges. That does not mean that some, external law enforcement organization could be asked to relook at the facts. The reality is that Jim Boeheim is an incredibly popular person, especially in that part of New York. He is the most famous person in that part of what they call upstate New York. And the district attorney, who has kind of described this as case closed, is a long time, I don't know if they describe themselves as close friends, but certainly a longtime acquaintance who thinks very highly of Jim Boeheim. So could the Jimenez family or somebody else say, hey, let's have an outside set of eyes take a look at this? That's certainly possible. I haven't seen anything to suggest that that is necessary. But for now, the criminal case is closed. And whether there's a civil action of any kind, we don't know. You can always file a lawsuit, right? And in many cases, personal injury attorneys and others will say to the family, hey, even though we're not sure Coach Boeheim did anything wrong here, and the preliminary evidence says that he did not do anything legally wrong, file a lawsuit because he's a man of great wealth and deep pockets. And even if he knows we might not win in court, if it made it all the way to the judge or jury verdict, odds are he would pay a settlement money to make this problem, a settlement to make this problem go away. So it's just the nature of the American legal system. We haven't heard yet from the Jimenez family. I believe, they're just still getting through the funeral. But keep your eye on that. It would not surprise me if there's a lawsuit from the family or there's a settlement of some sort, confidentially, again, whether or not Jim Boeheim did anything legally wrong.
Yeah, some story that we'll have to follow. And, of course, that could lead us down another road to one of your other professions where you also happen to be standing from an integrity standpoint head and shoulders above a lot of other people, but we'll kind of let that go for right now. Dave Glenn of ACCSports.com. The David Glenn Show also contributes to The Athletic through Athletic Carolinas, is with us as always on Wednesdays. So let's turn our attention to some happier stuff and talk about what's going on as far as the games are concerned. I guess we're finding out exactly how much Zion Williamson means to the Duke Blue Devils. He misses another game. They have another loss, this time to Virginia Tech.
Yeah, Dan, he's the ACC Player of the Year. I think he's the National Player of the Year. I think he's going to join Antonio Davis of Kentucky from 7 years ago and Kevin Durant of Texas from longer ago as the only freshman ever to win the National Player of the Year award. He's been that good, that efficient, that productive, double-doubles left and right. And now in the 3 games that he has missed, of course, he did play 30 seconds or so against the Tar Heels, but he mainly missed that game. The Blue Devils have 1 win. That was over Syracuse this past weekend up at the Carrier Dome in front of a record crowd. And they have 2 losses. The one by 16 to Carolina, that was at home, and the one last night at Virginia Tech, which, again, in both cases, Carolina is, first in the ACC standings as we speak, and Virginia Tech is 4th in the ACC standings as we speak. So the Blue Devils are not losing to slouches. Those might be Carolina and Virginia Tech, 2 of the 4 teams that get a bye in that first day of the ACC tournament. We'll see, some games to be played. but clearly he is that important. He's actually a rim protecting shot blocker at the defensive end and an amazing agile athlete given his 280 pounds or so. And he's one of the, along with R.J. Barrett, he's one of the two main men on the offensive end for the Blue Devils as well. So it's no surprise that Duke has missed him badly. Heck, just as Virginia Tech, remember, they lost their all-ACC senior point guard Justin Robinson to an injury.
Yeah.
And I think they're now 5-3 without him. So the Hokies have struggled without their best player. Kerry Blackshear has stepped up kind of and played his best basketball in that void, including last night. But yeah, Duke's more like a top 15 team without Zion Williamson. Duke is number 1 or 2 or 3 in the country with Zion Williamson. So R.J. Barrett's still great, and he has other helpful teammates. But Zion Williamson's the best player in the country, and the Blue Devils are feeling that right now.
You know, there were already some relatively high-profile people prior to the injury who said at some point, Zion Williamson just needs to shut it down and protect himself and get ready for the NBA draft. Since this injury, some of those calls have gotten louder. What do you make of that?
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw it, but ESPN's Jay Williams, who remember is a former Mike Krzyzewski superstar player, who in his case was drafted very high, did play in the NBA. In his case, a bad decision while driving a motorcycle derailed his professional career. Jay Williams is one of those who joined the Hall of Famer Scottie Pippen and some others saying Zion should pull the plug. I think there's a bunch of things in play here, but I boil it down to this. It's a personal decision by Zion that I would respect from afar, and unless there is a doctor saying that he has, an increased risk of injury because of tweaking his knee with that weird shoe explosion in that game against the Tar Heels a week ago, unless there's a higher risk of somehow re-injury or complicating his medical status, if it's in his heart to keep playing basketball for Duke, which is what he said a month ago when he first fielded that question, I have commitments to my teammates. I have commitments to my coaches. I understand I don't have a legal obligation to the NCAA or to Duke University or anybody else, but I love playing basketball. This is what I do. This is who I am. I respect that. I do believe that life is about more than money, even as we all agree that this guy is basically a walking human $100 million lottery ticket. And for those who don't know, the number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft gets $20+ million guaranteed in the first 2 years. And in most cases, as long as nothing goes horribly wrong, you get almost $45 million over a 4-year deal as a rookie entering the NBA as the number 1 overall pick. And in Zion's case, because he's so personable, because he's that YouTube sensation, because he's just a rare package of size and strength and agility and productivity and efficiency and all that, the shoe and apparel companies are lining up. So it's not only tens of millions of dollars in NBA salary over a short period of years, it's tens of millions more over whatever period of years. And you start adding it up, and he is the $100 million man. So you don't want to jeopardize that. But I think it's important to remember that no matter what you do to prepare for the draft, even if it was with your personal strength and conditioning trainer or pickup basketball or whatever else, you're not going to be wrapped in bubble wrap. So why not do it if you're going to risk in any environment? Why not do it under a Hall of Fame coach with players and teammates that you like while chasing a national championship, while enjoying the platform next month that Zion Williamson and virtually every other young basketball player dreams of playing on, and that's March Madness. And I'll just add one quick thing to that. Human relationships matter. Some people have compared this to, having the winning lottery ticket in your back pocket and, risking losing it or letting it go through the laundry or, it burns somehow and you can't collect your $100 million. There aren't human relationships involved in that lottery ticket, the literal lottery ticket. And there are human relations involved in player to player, teammate to teammate, coach to player, mom and dad, et cetera. It's just not a perfect analogy for the real world lottery ticket. Yes, there's risk involved with Zion continuing to play, but it's clearly what's in the young man's heart. And in the end, life is about a lot more than just money, even big money.
If you're an NBA executive, let me just throw this scenario at you, and Zion Williamson, he gets scared and decides to shut it down. I mean, you can look at this. He made a commitment to play this season at Duke, so you can look at this and say, hey, this guy basically just bailed on his teammates, and their chance of winning a national championship just took a significant hit because he's being selfish. If you're an NBA executive and that scenario were to happen, do you hedge on drafting this guy at all?
I'd have to talk to him about it for sure. But for example, here in North Carolina, Carolina Panthers have a running back named Christian McCaffrey, and he skipped his bowl game at Stanford. And this is a guy from an amazing family with a wonderful head on his shoulders, outstanding in the community, already a good NFL player after the Panthers drafted him in the first round. And he chose not, while healthy, to play in the Stanford Bowl game that year. I think the Zion Williamson parallel is even more extreme, and that's what makes your question such a good one. When Ben Simmons was at LSU, for that one and only year before being a high NBA draft pick, LSU was a bubble team. And on Selection Sunday, the Tigers got left out. And Ben Simmons might have had to make a choice. Are you going to play in the NIT, jeopardizing your health? The NIT, a secondary postseason tournament, more like, a mid-tier bowl game. And I wouldn't fault a young man who wanted to protect his status by not playing in that meaningless bowl game or by not playing in that meaningless postseason tournament. I do believe it's different. And remember, even in college football, where there have been dozens of guys skip their bowl games, we have not seen the player who skips, say, a national championship game or a college football playoff game. And I think that kind of underlines Zion is viewing this as not skipping a meaningless bowl game, not skipping the meaningless NIT. This is what he's played his whole life toward at the college level. This is a chance. Duke is clearly one of the half a dozen teams with the best chance of winning the national title. So this would be like the Clemson or Alabama player who knew he was going in the first round of the NFL draft. But even though he's on the ultimate stage saying, no, I'm going to protect my body in this violent game. Basketball is not nearly as high risk as football. March Madness is the equivalent, roughly, of the college football playoff for teams like Duke. And that's why a conversation would have to be had. In the end, though, Dan, I think you and I know, the NBA is built around the very best rare elite talents more than any sport that we follow. It's bigger than basketball, bigger than baseball, rather, bigger than the NFL, bigger than hockey, bigger than anything else. In the NBA, collecting the most special talents is the most important thing that you do in pursuit of a championship. It's not even close. If you don't have two or three of the best players in the world, you don't have a chance of competing for an NBA title. Zion is viewed by many as that rare talent. And I believe the overwhelming majority of NBA teams, if not all of them, would still take Zion Williamson, even if he made what would be, of course, a very controversial decision. He's not going to make that decision, by the way. He made it clear a month ago, and I don't think anything has changed since then.
No, but I just wanted to throw that scenario out there to see see what you thought about it, because there are some who would have him do just that. Thankfully, I agree with you. I don't think that's in the young man's makeup. Dave, tell people how they can get more of this kind of coverage and follow what you do.
ACCsports.com is our Grand Central station, football, basketball, recruiting, all with an ACC twist, of course. And then I have had a lot of fun contributing to theathletic.com and the sub-site, The Athletic Carolina. A lot of college basketball, but a little bit on other things impacting the Carolinas. So I'm contributing there as much as I can. And it's really a fantastic, fast-growing national media outlet that's trying to get back to kind of old-school, high-level, thoughtful sports writing. And those who have checked it out have told me they've been impressed. So I hope folks will check out both, ACCsports.com and theathletic.com.
All right, Dave, we'll talk to you soon, man. Thanks.
All right, Dan. Take care.
That is Dave Glenn, and we are headed to a break. When we come back, going to talk about Furman and Asheville baseball this afternoon. Understand we had a little technical difficulty at the beginning of the program, so when we come back from the break, and also because I know that he's tuned in right now, what my spies caught on tape, on video, from Brett Harker during all of the rain frustration last week. You're going to want to see this. This is the Dan Scott Show, and we'll return with the final segment in just a moment. When you're looking for the home of a lifetime, you need a realtor you can trust. With more than 27 years experience selling real estate, Gel Sartain is the choice to help the discriminating buyer find the home of their dreams. Licensed in both South Carolina and Georgia, Gel specializes in homes on beautiful lakes Hartwell and Kiwi, as well as the surrounding areas, and has a wealth of experience working with people with technical backgrounds. Now is the time to buy, sell, and invest in real estate in the Clemson-Seneca area. Let Gail help you realize that dream today. Call her at 404-317-3171. That's Gail Sartain, a member of the National Association of Realtors.
We're all trying to find our way, forge a path, blaze a trail. The work is hard, and the work is personal. But you can't do it alone. At Furman, we're committed to giving you an advantage, the Furman Advantage. We know that graduates who are emotionally supported and who have deep learning experiences in college are 3 times as likely to be engaged at work and thriving in life. At Furman, all students are guaranteed 4 years of rigorous classroom education integrated with high-impact research, internships, study away, and a community of support every step of the way. This is the Furman Advantage.
Hey everybody, Dan Scott. You know, I've been telling you for some time now that I switched the protection of my home and family to Security Complete. I can tell you that I've been ecstatic with the results. Locally owned with more than 40 years experience in the industry, Security Complete uses nothing but the latest technology, which equals low overhead, which equals greater savings to the customer. Fully automated systems with monitoring rates much lower than the competition. Security Complete gives you all this and does not require a contract of any length. Find out more by calling 864-546-0630 or find them on Facebook and Twitter. Security Complete, my first line of defense. Make them yours today.
Let me tell you something, Cowboy. This rookie can really bring the heat.
He's smoky and spicy with a Chipotle style all his own.
It's a new Montgomery Inn Chipotle barbecue sauce. Make it a part of your home team.
Available now at your neighborhood grocer or online at cincyfavorites.com.
Hey everybody, Dan Scott here, and I want to tell you about my technology partner, Carolina Creative Group. When my show needed a creative technology boost, I turned to Carolina Creative Group. My custom design website is going to take marketing as well as brand strategy and development to new levels. The search engine optimization means that my clients' ads will be seen by more people more often. And if I have any questions, Carolina Creative Group is just a phone call away. Friends, that is just the tip of the proverbial iceberg. You can find out all the ways that Carolina Creative Group can help your business by simply calling 864-250-2012. Again, that's 864-250-2012, or simply visit them online at carolinacreative.co. Carolina Creative Group, technology partner of the Dan Scott Show.
All right, our thanks to Dave Glenn for spending the last segment with us, as he does every Wednesday, the best in the business covering the ACC. I always look forward to that segment. As we get back to play, we had some technical difficulties when we did this earlier, and as I said, plus I know he happens to be watching right now. All of the rain last week caused a lot of frustration, obviously, for college baseball coaches all across our area, and it was no different at Furman. The frustration level of having to, for instance, make a decision on Tuesday whether to cancel the weekend series with LaSalle because they were coming from Philadelphia to get here, and then trying to find replacement games and juggling all that with the rain and everything else. It just kept pounding and pounding and pounding. It was frustration to the nth degree to try to play this sport. Furman has a camera system at Latham Stadium that is set up from multiple angles to allow the coaching staff to get video of pitchers and hitters so they can break down the mechanics and show players what they're trying to teach them and things that they may not be doing right or things that they are doing correctly. Well, unbeknownst to Brett Harker, that camera system was on the other day. And it was at the height of all of the rain and all the frustration last week. And one of our spies sent me the clip. And here on a Dan Scott Show exclusive, you will not see this anywhere else. I promise you. You won't see this anywhere else. Here is, here's what Brett Harker was going through on one day last week, exclusive to the Dan Scott Show. You know, and that's just the tail end of it. Here's actually how it begins.
I've never seen it rain so hard for such a long time. I'm just glad I'm inside. Well, good grief. Only a real blockhead will be out in the rain like this. Where's everybody? We're supposed to have a ball game today. Don't tell me everyone stayed home because of a little rain. A little rain never hurt anybody. Why are you standing here in the rain, Charlie Brown? You know we have a game scheduled for today. As soon as everyone shows up, we can get started. I don't suppose it has occurred to you that no one else may show up? Not for a second. Why are you looking at me like that? They made your uniform out of my blanket!
Now, again, I'm not going to identify who the assistant coach was there. I'll kind of leave that open for interpretation. But that's, again, exclusive. You won't see that anywhere else. That's what last week was like, a little video evidence for Brett Harker and company over at Furman. The rain this morning kind of reminded us of that. Thankfully, the forecast I saw says that all that should be out and we should be playing baseball against Asheville today at 5 o'clock at Latham Stadium. 4:45 with the pregame show, and it will air on all of our normal outlets, Campus FM 95.9, FurmanPaladins.com on TuneIn Radio. Just search for the Campus station WPLS-LP, and also the video on the SoCon Digital Network. Will also be joined for the third straight game by our flagship station on the Furman IMG Sports Network, Fox Sports 1440. So 5 o'clock start. John Michael Bertrand gets the start for the Paladins, trying to get the record even, trying to a second consecutive win and build some momentum heading into a big weekend where they'll play Wake Forest 3 games at 3 different minor league stadiums. Winston-Salem on Friday, Charlotte Knight Stadium on Saturday, and Fluor Field on Monday. And with that, today also begins a broadcasting gauntlet for yours truly. And I'm going to actually be doing a video diary of this. So if you are someone who follows me on Twitter, you'll be able to see this via Periscope, and we'll be sharing it to Facebook and maybe doing some stuff as well. But we're going to document this over these next 5. Here's what it looks like. It's 5 days, 5 different venues in 4 different cities, 5 broadcasts covering 2 different sports. Latham Stadium for baseball. Tom Van Hoy and I go to Birmingham, Alabama for Furman and Samford tomorrow. get back about 4 o'clock in the morning, get up, and about noon, take off for Winston-Salem for baseball on Friday, get back late then, get up early again, take off for Chattanooga, Tennessee for basketball on Saturday, the regular season finale for Bob Ritchie's Paladins, and then on Sunday, back to Fluor Field for the finale of the Furman Wake Forest trifecta. So there you go. 5 venues, 5 days, 5 broadcasts in 4 different cities covering 2 sports. It's going to be fun, and we're going to be doing a little video documentary of it as we go through the course of these next 5 days starting tonight. Look forward to seeing you at the ballpark tonight. Hope that you can make it. If not, then by all means, tune us in, and we'll have the call for you on all of our outlets. Thank you for tuning in. Thank Dave Glenn again for joining us. And we'll be back with you from Latham Stadium this afternoon at 5 o'clock. Until then, go out and make a positive difference in somebody else's life. I'm Dan Scott saying God bless you, and so long, everybody.